Alrighty, I decided to turn on the camera again. Here we have now, I think it's, actually I know it's now, 7:13 in San Francisco. Wow, yeah, it is so amazing now that I'm living here in this area. It is just quite something else. What a feeling. I was just talking to Janiquely, who ironically speaking, after she, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Janiquely is a woman I've met over the internet, lives in Brazil, November 21st of last year, and we completely and utterly fell in love. Even though we haven't talked a while, she's very busy lately. I talked with her just now, call her every day, even though lately it's been different because she's working a lot, but nevertheless she also moved into a place which is about 5 minutes from her workplace after she has lived with her sister for, I don't know, several months. It's really, really interesting how things are connected, and yeah, it's interesting to see how everything in life leads to something else, especially how our thoughts, how our reactions create our own world, our own reality. Wow, what a building, huh? What a monster. Very amazing. Yep, again, back, that's why the title I gave to this series when I recorded here, The Streets from San Francisco. You're all familiar with that show, Carl Malden and Michael Douglas, right? Wow. What was the theme now? I can't sing it now. I don't know. No, that's something else. It's Rocky. Anyway, yep, streets of San Francisco, and I've been here. I mean, I remember walking these streets, staying in a shelter, having nowhere to go, no money in my pocket whatsoever. And now I'm working full-time, have been working full-time for a while, have a little bit of money in my pocket. You can afford a room now and all of that, but still it's very difficult. So I still see the scars as a result of that, the pain as a result of that. Like, you know, living a homeless existence, I mean, I feel so bad for people like this. I mean, of course, you know, we're all responsible for our own actions, we all create our own reality, but nevertheless, wow, you know, we as a society, we have people who are looking trash for food, you know, and they're like, wow, very, very sad. I mean, our whole society is built on the one principles anyway, the whole idea of competition and survival of the fittest. You know, who has the most is really keeping us from the spiritual awareness, you know, that we all matter, we're all important, and children shouldn't be, you know, part of this rat race already where they're told, you know, you need to prove yourself to be worthy, basically. You need to show that you understand what the teacher teaches you, and you need to be able to, yeah, you know, write it down in text and test for tests and prove that, you know, to show that you're worthy of moving on, of being, you know, part of the society where we have all these freedoms, you know, which are so dear to us, and they're, you know, unique in every society around the globe, you know. And many of societies definitely stand in direct opposition with one another, seem to be like the enemies of one another. Like we ourselves have many enemies in life, but ultimately, if you really think about that, those quote-unquote enemies, these are our greatest teachers and our greatest mirrors. And so it also goes for those countries. Like, so the war between the Middle East and all the tensions there, and yeah, you know, the rest of the world, you know, especially the United States, you know, and the involvement of the United States. And I mean, it's each country, you know, with Africa, this is very unique with Australia, you know, with South America, you know, Europe, of course, you know, and so all of the relationships between the different countries, you know, it's very much, we have become separate over time. Of course we have. Ever since the beginning of time, we have evolved. Look what we have created. 6,000 years later. Wow, the future is now. Look at this. The beginning, you know, we were just, there was, well, it was wasteland, you know. There were creatures roaming the earth, you know, and early human beings, you know, were just primitive in how they made tools and how they communicated. But slowly we evolved. And slowly we used tools. We learned how to manipulate our environment. Yep, and create all of this abundance. All of those things with which we identify ourselves with. These are things which makes the world go round. Money, or them being the, yeah, is behind everything. Of course. It's all about power. Money is power, no doubt about that. When we talk about the power of love and what that means, and really how that means, and also how we live our life. If our life is filled with love, or about the pursuit of money, and the holding on to money, that is the problem of this world. Money in itself is not the problem. Money is beautiful. Money is a beautiful tool to be used wisely, as is time, which is a very different kind of tool. I mean, time is available to each and every one of us the same amount. How we use it is different, and how we use it results in a certain outcome. Of course, we can go for an employer and work for $15, $20, do street cleaning, not work, and get government assistance. It's all our choice, right? Or we can of course make those choices which yield to us being exactly where we want to be in life, living our purpose, living our dream. No doubt about that. And see how to manifest that? That's the purpose of Realize to Actualize. How to put that awareness into practice of what we want for ourselves. And some of you might remember, hear me ask before, it really all begins with that question you got to ask yourself. What do you want for yourself? What do you want? I'm not talking about what you don't want, and that, for those of you who have seen The Secret, are very much familiar with that concept. The law of attraction works in that, if you focus on what we don't want for ourselves, we attract that. And of course, if we focus on what we want, we attract it. But most of us focus on what we don't want for a variety of reasons. We can talk about this, during one of our, online sessions, or can talk over the phone. Even there we can plug in with different people at the same time. Do like a conference call and really talk about those things, It is really about what we want, what kind of life you want to live, where you want to be in the world, where you see yourself. That's where it begins. If you see yourself continuously, and I have learned that for myself and continue being reminded of that, if you see yourself in pain, if you see yourself in what you don't have, and if you focus on those things, you create more of that, more pain, more of the things you don't want, and nothing changes. But if you focus on the things you want, you subconsciously program yourself to take steps in order to be where you need to be in life. It all begins with a thought about what you want. And it also, what comes to mind is Gandhi, when he said, we need to become the change we want to see in the world. What is that change? What kind of world do we envision? That's a question I'm going to address to you. And it's different from person to person, but I think collectively, which is interesting, all children, when they pray to God, their understanding of God at a very young age is they ask, for world peace. So I think it's safe to say we all want that, right? But how would a world look where we would have peace? That's a really important question to ask, I think. I don't know if you agree with that. What kind of social system do we need to have? What kind of educational system? How can we not have prisons? How can we not have wars? How can we not have segregation and racism and people being violent and angry with one another? How can we build a world where people are more in tune of their natural humanity and their creativity, where we grow up and really learn to embrace that gift we all have, which is different from person to person, and to develop on our talents, to become interested? What does this require of our education system? And of course also then the question is, because it's not only about learning, the educational system, it's about the working. What kind of work environment do we need to have where people use their skills, not only their skills but their talents, their interests, to not only further themselves and to apply them for the sake of producing results for an organization, of course. But instead of just being put to work and having a boss telling them how to do work and there's a job description and people eventually stop thinking for themselves, this is about getting people actively involved in the process of, okay, you're here now, let's get to work. What can you do for us? And give people the freedom to do what they can do. See, that's the problem. I always noticed that with school, one of my main problems there was of close supervision. When somebody looks at your back, stands behind your back and checks and sees how you're doing it, and then either, not many times rewards you, but punishes you when you do wrong. Anyway, some food for thought. I'm going to stop here the tape at 10 seconds because YouTube allows me only, I don't know, a little bit more than 10 minutes to record. I hope you enjoyed this recording. There's more where that came from. Always, I'll be open to hear your questions, and we'll be back to you soon, with you soon. Thank you.